There are so many moments during your day that you stop and wondering if this is really life, right? If things are really supposed to be like that. And today, while I was at the pet store, the girl that's always working there because her parents own the place was standing there, and I asked her if she would get a plant for me from the main garden tank. And she just looked at me and she said, "Can you give me a minute?" But it wasn't a human being. It was such an automated response that I had an NPC moment with her. I glanced down at her shoes and they were old and falling apart. Her pants had holes in them, not the kind that looked trendy, but the kind that looked worn out. The color of her jeans looked like they'd been washed way too many times, and the expression on her face was, "I'm smiling because I have to smile, because I do customer service and I have to smile. It's not that I want to, it's just that I know I have to." And that sort of deadpan expression on her face was very striking. And what it did is it reminded me of one of my favorite quotes of all time. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stomping on a human face forever. And this is what's happened to us as a race of creatures on planet Earth. Since we started building the pyramids, someone figured out that if you need something done, just round up a bunch of poor people and they'll do it just so they don't starve. They don't want to, they don't like it, but they know that they don't really have a choice. That's what the future for people like you and me looks like. We don't have any choices. And I'm going to throw in my favorite quote from, from Bioshock again. And this is something that I wake up and tell myself every single morning of every day of my life. A man chooses, a slave obeys. A man chooses not to take a paycheck. A slave has no other choice. We're slaving day in and day out, and at the end of the week, we have nothing to show for it except for deep sadness, regret, and wondering whether or not we're going to be able to do it next week, or whether our hours are going to be cut, or who else is not going to be there. When I worked at Insight, that was the thing. You knew it was a bad job because every day you would show up and they were hiring, they were firing, and no one ever knew what was going to happen to them. The world of the proles is full of imbalance, fear, and an unknowing. Having an uncertain future is always part of daily life. And that's part of a system of control that will never change because there's too much money. When the people who matter in society are buying their second yacht and you're trying to figure out how you're going to stretch one brick of ramen over 5 days, that shows you the reality of your situation. That no matter how hard you work, they'll always have more than you. And with that said, let's get into today's monologue. And this is the title that ChatGPT gave it. If the future is a boot on your face, why are we smiling about it? You ever notice how we celebrate making it when all we've done is survive another pay period? Capitalism's greatest trick wasn't convincing us we could become rich, it was convincing us that not starving is a personal achievement. So here we are, smiling through the stomp, pretending the boot feels like a foot massage. Isn't that the truth? They stomp on you and we treat it like a massage. They beat up your body, your back hurts, your feet hurt from being on your feet all day long. We get carpal tunnel syndrome from sitting at machines mindlessly typing into them without really paying attention to what we're doing. The average person has become a mindless drone. We communicate with each other through NPC language because we don't know how to talk to each other anymore. We don't talk to each other anymore. That's the big thing. Is we really stopped communicating with one another because it feels frightening. You don't want to know what another person's going through. I tell myself this all the time. As you're walking through the grocery store, like I will be after the gym in about 45 minutes, You walk through the store and you think to yourself, how many of the people that are around me didn't eat last night because they didn't have money? How many people are sitting in their homes right now, like myself, with every single light, every electrical product in your house turned off because you're afraid of the electric bill? How many people know someone that doesn't have a job, and it's not because they don't want to work anymore? It's because they simply can't find a job anywhere. No one will hire them, regardless. I've spent so much of my adult life hiding my education from potential employers because who would want to hire a millennial STEAM? I wouldn't. I need someone that is showing up at work. I don't need a thinker at work. I need a worker. I need someone who shuts up and does their work. But when you hire highly educated people, what you're doing is hiring problems. That's why we're a nation of workers, not thinkers. If we were a nation of thinkers, we would have figured this out by now and made certain that being a billionaire was considered public enemy number one. Because what do rich people do? They hurt everyone else. Because the 1% exists, the rest of us have to live like this without sufficient resources to get through a day, where depression becomes low motivation syndrome or no motivation syndrome to get out of bed in the morning. But we can't have a country where the workers don't show up, where the workers sit at home and think about, well, is this worth it for me? Do I really want to go slave away for a paycheck that disappears before I even notice it was there? It's the it's the paycheck that ghosts you even before you turn around. It's like, what happened? You're like, I could have sworn I worked all week. Nah, that's not what happened. You had a one of those situations where you thought you were in a relationship with a job, but the reality was it was never really there. It's a blow up doll. And as soon as you go to hug it, it vanishes in your arms. Hey, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but calling it a foot massage while you're getting beaten down is pretty cynical. Let's get into talking point number one. Every paycheck feels like a breakup. You wait 2 weeks just to get abandoned the moment it arrives. And the saddest part, we're not even surprised anymore. Heartbreak is cheaper than groceries. Again, I don't read these things ahead of time. I have no idea what I'm going to read before. That way, every time that I respond to one of these talking points, it's authentic. But I do feel like there's a certain amount of surprise in every aspect of your life. You're surprised that you're single. You're surprised that Felice Johnson shows up every morning on time. Felice is never late. He's never early. He's always there at the exact same time. And even right now, it's Saturday afternoon. And I'm already thinking about what it's going to feel like to assume the position Monday morning. Because we know where it goes, we know what it does, and we know that we have no motivation to be depantsed. But that's the indignity of our current society. The humiliation of hourly work is every single day. Every moment that you think that you're some sort of human being, there's something there to remind you that you're not. As a comment left yesterday by, I won't mention who, you know who you are. She left a comment that we're all Winston. And that's the reality of things. They monitor us, they watch us, they treat us like we don't matter. But the second you get out of line, they're there to let you know that you need to go to the re-education. Imagine all of us pros like myself sitting in a room, clockwork orange style, being forced to watch Fox News with our eyes being held open and eye drops being put in our eyes so we can continuously watch how great things are. When the reality, again, stings from behind that things aren't so good. And things haven't been good in a long time. And it's not like they've tried to keep the loud part quiet. Right now, we're experiencing the quiet part out loud as stagnant wages, ridiculous rent, and people that don't seem to know what to do. That's the biggest thing I feel when I go into the comments is that no one really knows what to do. And we're felt feeling hopeless, feeling the agony of despair, waking up in the middle of the night, wondering what happened. Did Felice get me at midnight last night? Or what happened? We ask ourselves that question all the time because the pain doesn't stop at the paycheck. It's a open wound that doesn't heal. Being part of the proletariat means you're constantly suffering. And it's not just financially, it's emotionally. It's very lonely to be poor because no one likes poor people. I've talked about this on the channel hundreds of times. No one likes poor people because it's a reflection of other people. Yesterday, when I was leaving work and I went to Kroger's and I saw people fighting over the scratcher's ticket machine, I just thought to myself, this is it. This is what the proletariat does on Friday with their paychecks. They know that buying food is pointless, right? Low quality, small portions, and extremely expensive. So the only way out is through the lottery or running into oncoming traffic. But what we're doing right now isn't working for any of us. And we're left with this heartbreak feeling of knowing that our potential as human beings is slipping away. Every year we get older. Every year our brains get, I'm going to say, dimmer because we're not in an enriched environment. We're in an environment that causes our hair to fall out. Over the past 4 years, I've seen like 20% of my hair just disappear. Why? Stress, low quality food, endless work, and fear. Because in an economy that's shriveled up like your junk in a cold pool, what are you supposed to do? And people who ask me this all the time. It's like, well, why aren't you offering solutions? What solutions are there? I work for the mechanism myself. I can't get out of the way. And for anyone that says, oh, well, let's just get rid of all the corporations. Well, guess what? Do you want to starve? Do you want to just go ahead and just go full on and just end up in a shallow grave with dogs eating your bones? Because as much as we don't like the way they treat us, it keeps us alive. Some version of life, I wouldn't exactly call this being alive, but every morning you open your eyes to the fact that you still exist. Every time I open my eyes in the morning and I look around at what I have and where what I have to do, it's I'd much rather go in the opposite direction. But that's me personally. I don't enjoy being alive. And I think there are millions of people who have come to that conclusion as well. We no longer enjoy being alive, but we have no choice. You're still going to get hungry. You're still going to need a shack to live in, and you're still going to need a pro-mobile. So you've got to go out there and do the things that you don't like. And that's why I use the analogy of assuming the position. No one likes it, no one wants it, but everyone needs it. So you subject yourself to it, not for months or days or weeks or hours at a time, but a lifetime of assuming the position. And this is just at your desk. This can be anywhere. You, sometimes I feel like I assume the position the second I walk into the grocery store or anything that I do. I don't really do anything these days. I spent the last couple of hours playing with my aquarium because it's free. It's really what it comes down to. I am no longer capable of drowning my thoughts anymore in video games. As much as I wanted to get the new Call of Duty game just to play the campaign, I just can't allow myself to drift into that fantasy world of cheap pro entertainment, sports, video games, Susie Rottencrotch. All I can do is just imagine what it's going to be like to get to a point where I can't go to work, where I have a walker and I still have to push shopping carts at Walmart because my social security doesn't cover basic human needs. And that's where we're all at. We all need stuff that should be universally taken care of because the money is there. The government, the corporations, they all have the money to be a more fair and equitable society, but we just won't do it. But as a society, we need to demand more and do better. We can't just say there's no solution to poverty, there's no solution to homelessness, there's no solution to free healthcare. We have to do better as a society to welcome an age in which we don't wake up every morning and it's a panic attack, or you get up in the middle of the night and another panic attack. You open your fridge and it's a panic attack. This morning when I woke up and I walked to the fridge and I looked inside and I saw that, well, there's nothing in here. So, of course, you open your drawer and there's that little packet gleaming at you, knowing full well that you're, you're eating worse than an animal that lives in the forest. An animal that lives in the forest, a wild animal, would never subject themselves to that little bag. Boiling water, waiting 5 minutes, and then shoving things into your mouth that taste like, well, I haven't actually figured out what it tastes like by itself, so I usually cover it in something so it tastes like something different. It's what we all do. Usually I choose hot sauce to cover it in, so every morning my breakfast just tastes like whatever hot sauce was on sale that week. But let's get into talking point number two. The wage cage doesn't need iron bars, it just needs more bills. When survival depends on obedience, you don't need a guard to watch you. You watch yourself. That is so true. This morning I woke up and it's getting cold, and what happens when it gets cold? We all start getting sick. This morning I woke up. If it were a work day, I probably would have been, you know what? I'm too sick to go to work. A couple hours later, you're feeling 100%. I don't know why that is, why we get seasonally ill, but I think a lot of it has to do with the cage. And we are watching yourself. You push yourself to go to work because you know you can't afford not to go to work. You can't afford to be that guy that doesn't show up because now you've lost 20% of your weekly income by saying, you know what, I'm too sick. But when the reality is, it's not that you're so much sick, it's that you have that no motivation syndrome that keeps coming up, like that, those bumps on your junk that you got from Susie Rottencrotch, because it is the crotch krispies are the thing that keeps on giving, and you knew full well what was going to happen. We all know that Susie's dirty, but do we really have a choice? No motivation syndrome clearly tells us that we don't want to do a lot of the things that we have to do. We have to watch over yourself and make certain that you're controlling yourself. Imagine that. The mechanism is inside of your head. Your brain is telling you that even though you don't want to do something right now, that future you will suffer when you can't pay your bills. The same part of your brain tells you immediately when you meet Susie Rottencrotch outside of the Taco Bell at midnight after you've had one too many that this isn't going to end well. She has the crotch krispies. You currently are crotch crispy free, but you're going to do something that's going to hurt you right now in the short term and have long term side effects. That's what the hourly job is. Long term side effects may include starvation, homelessness, and despair. I hate to put it to you that way, but that's what reality is really like. And since this video has been so long winded, I'm not going to make it to talking point number three. We're just going to hit the closing monologue. If the future really is a boot on your face forever, the most dangerous thing you can do isn't fight back. It's to stop pretending that it feels good. Hey, that's advice to live by. Because the moment you stop saying thank you for the pressure, the boot starts to wonder what happened when you finally stand up. So yeah, keep smiling if you want. But maybe, just maybe, it's time the boot got nervous for once. Nothing makes Felice nervous. Felice takes more Viagra than you could possibly ever imagine. He's got a patch on his arm of it, and he's always ready. And you pretending that it doesn't feel good is more of that toxic positivity. Because I was actually talking to ChatGPT when I was driving back from the pet store today, and I asked, how is it so many millions of people still talk themselves into believing that everything is fine? It will get better. I'm going to win the lottery tonight. That's how the pro gets through day to day. That toxic positivity that gets in there worse than anything you could imagine. It gets into every nook and crevice of your brain, forcing you to pretend it's not that bad. The boot on your face forever will never be a massage. It will always keep pummeling you over and over and over again, and it just doesn't stay on your face. The boot forever is not only there, it's kicking you in the rear and it's kicking you in the nads, and you never get used to it. As much as they want to make certain that we normalize the boot on the face, people have to say no. At some point, you have to come to the conclusion that the boot on the face is unnatural, just like the high prices at the grocery store.